Welcome to Trojan Insider. My name is John Emmett, joined right now by VSU head volleyball coach Rose White, whose team now 3-1 in divisional play, and finally getting to spend a little bit of time at home as they get set for a match with Virginia Union. But Rose, we'll start with last week. You guys bounced back very nicely after the tough loss to Chowan, and that took care of your business.
Yeah, we did. I would have liked to have obviously not lost to Chowan, but we did. And then, we're not feeling too good about ourselves for beating Lincoln and Bowie because they probably are the two weakest teams in our division.
But you had to come back after losing a tough match, and I'm sure the players are aware that you're playing folks that are struggling a little bit, and yet it appears from looking at the stat sheet anyway that you had pretty good focus.
Yeah, we against Chowan we missed 14 serves, and against our loss to Shaw earlier in the season we missed 18 serves, so that's been a huge emphasis. And I will say against Lincoln and Bowie, you essentially have to serve the same amount of times no matter if you beat a team 25-6, you still have to serve 25 points, and we have cleaned up our serving a lot.
And you move forward and finally get to play back-to-back home games for the first time since the start of the season. Nice to get a little home cooking.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need some practice out there in the new arena and stuff at home. So.
Is there still a little bit of unfamiliarity with the building, you think?
Yeah, I think there is. A couple of my players say that Daniel's gym is home and this is new, so I think they're not quite fully adjusted to it yet.
All right, Virginia Union, you've had a chance to play them once before, seeing the tournament at the start of the year. What kind of challenges do the Lady Panthers present?
They're an offensive team. If they get a good set, they can be very offensive with the ball, jump high and hit it hard, and as long as we keep them out of system and are able to identify who's getting the set and we can get a good block on them, then they tend to struggle. But if we let them sort of run how they want to run it, then they can be challenging. But hopefully we're going in with the same game plan as when we played at their place, and hopefully if we execute it, we'll have just the same kind of success.
A little quirk in your schedule is that you have some non-conference games remaining fairly late in the season, including this weekend. You're going to play 2 down at Mount Olive. What are you trying to get out of that?
Just to play some tougher out-of-conference competition. Really, our conference is not the strongest volleyball conference, and some of the stronger teams in the conference are actually in the South, so we only get to see them once at the beginning of the season. So I think it's important to schedule teams that are going to challenge us in a way that those teams will challenge us at the end of the season, and then even if we win conference and we move on to the NCAA tournament, we're going to see those kinds of teams certainly out of conference in playoffs. So, towards the end of the season, I don't want us to get so comfortable with these easy wins. I want us to face a challenge and see how we respond to it.
On the subject of challenges, you still have one left with Chowan in the regular season and perhaps even in the tournament down the road. Go back to the match with the Hawks the first time around. What do you think you can do differently to get a different result?
Oh, we need to make less errors. Like I said, we had 14 missed serves. We had 29 hitting errors. And then combined with some other errors, did all this number work. We gave them 51 points between all of our errors, and they only gave us 29 points. So when you look at actually how close the match was, with us giving them more than 2 sets of points, we actually, if we just clean those errors up, we have an extremely good chance of beating them. I think we match up really, really well with them. We just have to keep the ball in play more on our side and make less unforced errors on our side, which we're capable of.
This point of the season, obviously some of the players you were counting on at the start of the year putting up numbers. What about some other players that have kind of emerged to give you some depth?
I think everyone right now is capable of starting for us and going out and playing for us. And I've used several different lineups in tough matches throughout the season that have proven successful. So, our freshman, Kennedy Cannon, is doing really, really well right now, and she's passing and hitting well. And, she's not in a starting role immediately, but she's someone that is very quick to come off the bench that I'm confident putting in, that I wasn't necessarily expecting that at the beginning of the season. And then our defensive specialist, Jasmine Jones, who's also a freshman, has had to step up occasionally and play libero for us, and she's taken that role on exceptionally well, and again is another player who, should something happen and I needed to play her in the libero position, I would feel totally, comfortable that she's capable of doing that job.
Right now you sit in the 2 spot in the North. What do you hope to accomplish between now and the end of the season, getting ready for the tournament?
We need to not have these ups and downs in our game. Sometimes we're a very efficient team. We're a low error, serve the ball in bounds, not have a lot of hitting errors, and then we're really, really tough. And then some matches we come in like against Shawan and we have 50 errors, and that's just too many. And so we need to go and really focus on, for the remaining matches, how do we get our errors down? How do we force the other team to beat us and not essentially beat ourselves?
Talking to the football guys about this week, it's homecoming. You guys have a home match early in the week, then you're on the road for the weekend. How do you navigate homecoming week in your program?
Well, it's much easier now that we have this new facility. We do have to adjust our practice schedule a little bit, but I think I'm really lucky in that my players are very focused on, our mission as a team, and they don't get distracted by homecoming. I haven't had that problem in the past, so they do take advantage of the events and the activities that are going on, but they're not out till all hours of the morning partying and all that nonsense. They they hold each other accountable, and they want it just as much as I do, so I don't have to worry about them too much.
Rose, appreciate it. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Rose White, volleyball coach, joining us on Trojan Insider. Welcome to Trojan Insider. My name is John Emmett, joined now by head football coach Reggie Barlow, whose Trojans tangle with the Lincoln Lions this Saturday at Rogers Stadium at a 2 o'clock kickoff. Reggie, first challenge is bringing the guys back. Obviously, it's a heartbreaking loss at Bowie State. A lot of good things happened on the stat sheet. In the end, they managed to squeeze by you by a point. What was the mood of the guys getting them back ready?
Well, obviously, our guys were disappointed and a little upset that we had an opportunity to win the game, but we really appreciate their efforts and the way they competed. We played to the bitter end, even had an opportunity to win it at the last second there. So they played hard, played well, just not enough to get the victory.
297 yards rushing, some exciting things in the return game. What were the big positive takeaways you got from Saturday?
Well, there's a lot. You mentioned we had 2 100-yard rushers. Bellamy and Trent Cannon both rushed for over 100 yards. There were some big hits by our defensive guys. We were able to get 5 sacks on Bowie State. There were some outstanding kick returns by Trent Cannon. Just several big plays. We had a block punt. A lot of the things that we thought we would be able to do, those things were able to take place in the game, and it's always good to have positive plays like that.
I move forward to Lincoln. What are your early impressions of the Lions?
Well, they're a team that obviously have some athletic kids on their team. Their season probably hadn't gone the way they would like for it to, but they're playing hard. There's a lot of things that I see out of this team as far as their running back, a kid who's been around, rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, has some ability. They have a quarterback that I think is very similar to a lot of the quarterbacks in this league. He's an athletic guy. And then, of course, on defense, there are some guys that, they've been able to get to the quarterback and get some sacks, so it'll be another challenge.
There's a team that, last year they really rode Steven Scott. His carries per game got up to into the 40s for a while there. They appear to be considerably more balanced this time around.
Yeah, it starts with Scott, though. I mean, he's a guy that runs the ball the right way. It seems as though when he's getting the ball and having success, their team is playing with that much more energy. But they have been able to develop some of the younger guys at the receiver position who've stepped up and made it that much easier for them. So they want to be a balanced attack, but it all starts with Scott, the running back.
A couple of things that jump off the stat sheet in a positive way for that team. 14 fumble recoveries, which is number 1 in the CIAA.
Yeah, well, when you see stats like that, obviously it tells you that they're flying around to the ball. Good things happen when you get to the ball. So for us, it's always been ball security. We've been pretty good in protecting the ball and not turning it over, but we got to make sure that we're telling our receivers, our offensive linemen, everybody needs to finish to the ball because good things happen when you get to it.
Another thing that jumps out about Lincoln is how effective they've been in the red zone thus far this year.
Yeah, their numbers are good down there. They haven't been in the red zone per se as much as a lot of other teams. So when you think about the things that it'll take for us to be successful in this game, one of them is when they get in the red zone, if they get in it, we got to make sure that we know the concepts and the passing game that they like to run. And then, of course, we have to be able to stop the running back when he's in the red zone.
One of the things that jumps off on the stat sheet is the fact they've had 7 or 8 different guys throw passes, and only 2 of them are quarterbacks. Obviously, it sounds like there's some gimmickry going on there. How big a concern is that this week?
Well, every week, obviously we have those type of gimmick plays that we like to run, but I think for them, they do it, one, to get their guys excited. It gives another dimension to the game, and with football being as competitive as it is, everybody's looking for the edge. So we'll make sure that we throw the wrinkles with the double passes, the reverse passes that we've seen them do on tape. So, another week, another challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
They have a receiver, Elijah Smith, who leads the team in catches, but also has done some damage both as a kickoff and punt return man. How big a concern is containing him?
Yeah, the deeper we go in our season, every team is going to have a return guy that's explosive. I think our coverage team has done a pretty decent job in covering, but there are some things that we can do in regards of doing our rugby punt. That gives us an opportunity to cover the field a little bit better. And then on kickoffs, there's always an opportunity to pooch kick the ball if that young man is having success against us.
A little bit beat up right now in the secondary. How do you try to work around that?
Yeah, it's these guys have been going at it since August the 7th, and it's that time of year where everybody's going to have some type of nick and bang that they're feeling, and it's next guy up. There are some kids that haven't played this year or haven't played that much that we're going to ask to step up and help us out in these last few games. So it'll be good for them. Of course, we hate to lose guys to injuries, but it's a part of football and it happens.
What is your focus? You get into week 8 of the season in practice. There's only so much you can do at a certain tempo. What are you trying to accomplish right now on the practice field?
Well, our practice schedule and the mindset is always the same. It's repetition on the things that we need to improve on. We like to do skill-specific stuff, as in our 3rd and 8, backup, whatever area we might have issues with in the game, we'll add a little bit more time and focus to that position. This past game, it was a red zone. We was down there 3 times and didn't come away with score, so that's something that we'll express. And then on defense, the passing game hurt us a little bit, so we'll draw up some of that stuff, because usually teams look at tape and they try to develop their game plan from that. So those are things that we'll improve on.
What about addressing homecoming with the guys and keeping them focused this week?
Yeah, this is a really good time of year. Homecoming is something that I wish I had experienced more festivities when I was in college. So we want them to experience that. We want them to embrace all the activities that take place. But the 2 hour that we have dedicated for practice, we want them to be where their feet are and just be focused on the task at hand. And then, of course, we'll allow them to go and be a part of all the other things that are taking place.
I rolled over Lincoln last year, 373 yards rushing. Kayvon Bellamy went for 240 by himself. Guys obviously remember that. There's a lot of veterans on this team. How do you kind of keep them focused on this year and in the moment and not overlooking Lincoln?
Yeah, we have to understand, and I think we have a mature group. We're really not in a place to overlook anybody. We've had an opportunity to close out some games and didn't get it done. So those are very recent memories that we will be able to focus on and talk about. And I'm sure our guys will go out with the right approach, the right mindset, and hopefully be able to take care of business.
Let's talk about taking care of business. Some keys for getting over the hump against Lincoln.
Well, I think, again, for us, being able to run the ball and establish the run, being able to control the clock against these guys will be good. The red zone, you mentioned how productive they've been in the red zone, so we have to make sure that we understand the concepts running game, passing game that they do to be able to keep them from scoring. I think for us, our red zone operation wasn't as good as we would like in the past game, so we definitely have to get that. And then special teams, I think our kickoff return has began to develop and have created positive field position for us, and we'll need much of that on Saturday.
Reggie, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Reggie Barlow, head football coach of Virginia State Trojans, facing the Lincoln Lions this Saturday at Rogers Stadium. 2 o'clock kickoff. You can follow the radio broadcast on 91.3 starting at 1:30.